This is Tony Rapetta, the General Manager at Franklin Equipment, here with a great deal on retail equipment for the balance of 2018. 0% for 72 months on all Wacker-Neuson compact equipment. Stop in your local Franklin Equipment and ask about our financing specials and our industry-leading warranty that comes with every new machine. You're not going to get that deal anywhere. Sign up for a demo of our Wacker-Neuson skid steer or mini excavator. Franklin Equipment, for all your equipment purchase needs, new or used. Franklin Equipment, rent, buy, rely.
Should you trust Dalvin Cook in your lineups this weekend? Is it time to cut bait on Chris Hogan? And we play a Would You Rather with Kiki QT. Plus, the second place team in the FFPC main event. Josh Siegel joins us to talk about what he thinks of Nyheim Hines the rest of the way, what to do with your Broncos wideouts, and much, much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics, Angers, Zach, and addicts out there. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I'm your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host, as always, is the patron saint of fantasy football. He is the Dizzle. He is Dave Gerzak. Coming up on tonight's show, is Doug Baldwin primed for a bounce back going forward? Is Austin Hooper on the cusp of a breakout? And Josh Siegel, the second place team owner in the FFPC main event, shares with us why he added Deontay Foreman, whether we can start expecting bigger things for Duke Johnson, and so much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there if you want to connect with us on Twitter. The show is at HSFF Hour. I am at Eric Balkman. Dave is at David Gerzak. Josh is at SalesRecruiter_. You can You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. And if you want to call in tonight, talk with us, talk with Josh at 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVER. You can also email the show at the inbox, highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is indeed the time to send them. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, tweets, and emails in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Spoiler alert on that, Dave. I believe we have an email or a question in from audio engineer Bryce.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, he's going to talk about his league. Well, he won't talk about it. I'm going to talk about it. And then, of course, our mutual friend and producer, as always, Rob, working very hard behind the glass, pushing the buttons tonight. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Your voice is a little raspy.
It's not good.
Tell me more.
I have, I got these two local these two local radio shows, and the last 3 days I have opened each of these shows apologizing to the listeners right away.
It's not terribly bad.
It's getting better. It's
a little sultry.
Well, this is my phone sex voice too. I mean, a lot of radio guys, you probably don't know this, but a lot of people in the radio business also moonlight as phone sex operators.
Right.
Now, since the dawn of the internet, that has kind of gone bye-bye, but the true greats in the business, me, Mort Gettelstein, of course, we all know him, and Samuel Jones-Smith, some of the legends in the phone sex business.
Peter North.
Yeah, well, Peter North is more of a visual guy, but we're still operating and doing everything as strong as we can.
Yeah, nice job.
Thank you. One of the other things I moonlight doing is a host for RotoViz Radio, and you can check out the latest episode of the High Stakes Lowdown, rotoviz.com/podcast. We have the 24th place team owner in the FFPC main event. That was Jason Aberle. He and I talked about a lot of stuff on the latest high-stakes lowdown, a lot of stuff on the Bears backfield, the Packers backfield, the Patriots backfield, a lot of running back questions. Hopefully we gave you the correct answers on those going forward. Jason, a former guest of this show, and was on the high-stakes lowdown this week, rotoviz.com/podcast. You can also check us out on Spreaker as well. If you search for RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown or just High Stakes Lowdown on Spreaker, you can get that right to your Spreaker app as well. That is enough of that. Let's get into the show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring on our guest. He says the FFPC, without a doubt, is his favorite format, and he continues to add new leagues each year, winning 5 of his 9 leagues in the FFPC last season.
Wow.
He decided to take one of his prizes, Dave, as a main event team after his wife gave him the green light to draft live in Las Vegas at Planet Hollywood. He rounded up 10, count them 10, of his buddies, and they all came out with him.
That's awesome.
For the draft. Last minute, he decided to split and co-own a second team with his good friend Sean O'Donnell, and both of those teams are in first place in their leagues in the main event, with his Jetson Dean squad being ranked second overall. That team was named after his son, who passed away last year after only being alive for 1 day. However, after his 7-year-old boy and his 3-year-old girl, he was actually diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a few years ago. He was told he wasn't going to be able to have any more kids.
Wow.
What's crazy, Dave, is that he and his wife ended up getting pregnant again, and his wife is 5 months pregnant currently, likely delivering the end of December, right after Jetson Dean is crowned the FFPC main event champ.
That's a good story, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to ascend very much higher, as it is in second place overall right now. Please welcome that squad's owner to the program, Mr. Josh Siegel. Josh, welcome into the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man.
Hey, gentlemen, man, what an introduction. I appreciate it, and, certainly happy to be part of the show, man. Appreciate the invitation.
Well, first of all, I think you've accomplished a lot in life, and certainly things that, you had a couple of bad bounces, clearly, but you have rebounded from that and then some. So congratulations, really, on the upswing, and I suppose fantasy football takes a little bit of a back seat to everything that's been going on, but you got to love the way that this season's going for you thus far.
Hey, man, no, absolutely. I'm a big believer there's just a couple things in life we have control of, and, attitude and work ethic, right? And I've just always kind of maintained a pretty positive attitude, and, I always try to, what do they say, post and pray when you set your lineups, and, hope you set the right one, right? So, positive attitudes, I feel, have kind of taken me a long way in life, and I kind of found my natural career in recruiting. So I basically help people kind of match up and find their right sales careers, and, I always kind of enjoy giving back and helping people kind of reach their so-called professional dreams.
And that leads into my first question. Have you been you've had a lot of experience? Have you been doing the sales recruiting thing a long time?
Yeah, I've been doing it about 12 years, and got 2 business partners. My company's Premier on board. We're a boutique company. I have 20 awesome employees, and right now we're based in Denver. Have an office in Oklahoma City. I'm based in Dallas, and yeah, man, we've been doing it for about 7 years. Premier on board as a team, and been growing quite a bit, and we really try to pride ourselves on hiring great people that kind of share the same mindset, right? That positive attitude that we try to pursue.
Well, my friend, you came on the wrong podcast for positivity.
That's not true at all.
Just kidding. We're generally positive. So, once you hang up, Balky and I will tear each other apart, but that's all right. This is a good part of the show.
Yeah.
So congratulations, where you're at in the main event. Sony Michel has really helped you get up there the past few weeks. Now, is he questionable this week with something going on?
Yeah, I believe I have to check my facts and figures on this. I believe all 53 members of the Patriots were listed as questionable this week. Now, I know I can tell you for sure that both Michel, Gronk, Chris Hogan, and Josh Gordon for sure all listed as questionable.
All right, very good. Burkhead's doubtful on IR.
Yeah, Burkhead may or may not play off IR.
Anyway,
we'll see what happens.
There is a question here. So where do you think Sony Michel finishes amongst running backs at season's end, especially since he came on?
Yeah, you got to love Belichick running backs, and call me crazy. I actually was investing in them, and my mindset was to invest in Sony specifically. At the beginning of the year, he was a target of mine, and certainly did a bunch of the early drafts, some of the 350s earlier in the year, and he was just going so early. Third, fourth, fifth round, and I just thought it was kind of a bargain. Just him not going to training camp and just really I kind of looked at like the Odell Beckham thing, right? Just a star in the making, but no one got to see him on the field, and really I felt that kept his value down. So obviously we know the history of running backs with Belichick isn't always supportive, but first round pick. There was success there with Corey Dillon way back when, but I just felt the investment of Belichick and just this offense having a lot of touchdown potential. I love him going forward. There's some concerns I would say, just with his lack of participation in the passing game, and James White getting a lot of those catches. I just see going forward, no less than the same, but I can see a lot more potential with touchdowns going forward, and then them getting him more involved in the passing game, because every time he's on the field, it's like they're running. So Belichick's smart. He's going to switch it up. He's going to have to throw more passing plays in there with him on the field. So I see him, my goal is for him to, hopefully finish in the top 10, because that's kind of where, my mindset was when I draft. And I always like to get running backs like him with the high upside later on. That's kind of my strategy.
And one of the things, you mentioned it, I think there's this negative connotation of staying away from Patriots running backs in drafts, because you never know which one is going to blow up on any given week. But the track record states that, look, if you get the right one, you can do some damage, because the Patriots running backs as a team, by and large, are one of the highest scoring running back squads in the NFL over the last half decade, maybe even over the last decade too. And the fact of the matter is this. Jeremy Hill is on IR. Rex Burkhead is on IR. It's basically James White and it's Sony Michel. And when you can get all that running back production split out between just two guys, it's going to be very difficult to go wrong with either one of them on a week-to-week basis. And certainly Sony Michel looks very, very good for you right now, Josh. Moving on, I want to talk about another running back, Nyheim Hines. He's on this second-place team in the FFPC main event that you have as well. Is he the Colts running back that you not only want to own right now, but also start as basically you could start him as a running back too, but for sure as a flex going forward? Your thoughts on Nyheim Hines being an every week starter and in the FFPC main event?
Yeah, it's a good question. I look at Nyheim Hines as kind of like an Ahmad Bradshaw, and if we remember what he did with Luck the first year or two, he was a borderline running back one and got a lot of play in the passing game, and I think he had 9 or so touchdowns. So that's kind of where I'm seeing him fitting into this offense. Obviously, we know that there's Marlon Mack there, and they got a bunch of other guys. Turbin, I know, just came off suspension. But, the reality is he's proven that he's a playmaker. And this team's just been starving running backs from the get-go. Poor Trent Richardson, right? So other than that, they really don't have anyone that I see that's going to make an impact. Marlon Mack's there. I saw he's coming back this week. He's still obviously got, I think it's a hamstring issue. Listen, the guy's done a little bit when he's been healthy, but Nyheim Hines, he's put the fumbling behind him. I think that was another thing that got his price tag down. I think I drafted him in the 15th round of this Jets and Dean team, and he's certainly proven to be a pretty solid value for us.
Yeah, that's cheap for Hines. Wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's stick with running backs. Actually, we're talking about Deonta, whatever the hell.
Foreman from Houston.
Not the guy who has the grilling boxing empire.
Not George.
Right. When does he take? So the question is, when does he take over as Houston's lead back? But I think more importantly is, do we think he comes back from that pretty bad injury? Next week is when I think he's eligible to come back. And if so, do you think he's a league winner on that offense?
Well, I'm a big believer. It's always about stacking running backs. Certainly, your hope is one's going to come out of nowhere, and he's one of those people I think has that potential. Lamar Miller, he certainly was activated last week, but Blue was the one who got all the touches, and Blue's just one of those guys that you know what he's going to do, right? He's a plunger. I call those guys, right? So he's going to do the bare minimum. But someone like Foreman, who he's got a lot of potential, and this same thing. It's an offense that has loads of potential. Obviously, that with Coutee and Fuller and Hopkins, they need someone that's going to be able to push the chains, and I think Foreman can be that guy. I just picked him up last week, and I got Blue on that team as well. I'm not expecting Blue to do much, but I figure it's more of a handcuff than anything. But yeah, my hope is Foreman to be someone I can plug in as a running back too, or flex play later in the season. I got a chance to scope out his schedule, and he's got some good home games. And I see Houston is more dominant as a home team, and him just finally hopefully getting some action. But as we all know, it comes around the injury. I mean, the Achilles injury for running backs is devastating. I think I'm a Broncos fan, so DT was someone I know that came back from one of those, but it's not too common. So, it's one of those things. I'm hoping and praying. I got him off waivers, but I expect him to be someone that can put in the lineup later in the year.
Talking with Josh Siegel, the second place team in the FFPC main event heading into Week 6. Josh, as we enter the bye weeks, now there's only 2 teams on bye this week, but next week starts the 4 teams and sometimes 6-team bye weeks. With the 4 teams being on action starting next week, can high-stakes owners, in your opinion, safely drop Jamison Crowder if they do need to fill in at defense, kicker, tight end, quarterback, what have you? Or do you think he's still worth hanging on to? My personal thought is if we were going to see something, we would have seen something in the last game against New Orleans, where you thought that it would be an up-and-down shootout type affair. And Crowder, I think, ended up with like 9 fantasy points or 9 or 10. It wasn't great. The leagues I have him in, I still held on to him, but I don't know. As we get into next week, is he a guy that you can feel okay dropping?
That's a really good question, and I believe he was drafted in the 8th round of my Jets and Dean League main event team, and I saw him dropped after Week 3, so I jumped on it. I was able to pick him up Week 5, and I think I got him for $188, give or take, and you're 100% right. If there was a week for him to do something, it was last week against the Saints, and he got, I think, 8 or 9 targets. He got the targets he needed, but no one produced in that game. I think that was the big disappointment, is everyone on the Redskins fell right on their face. So am I dropping him? No, I'm not dropping him. And the reason why is I think back to the training camp connection that him and Smith had. And we were all glued to those reports from Bleacher Report and whatnot, and Football Guys, of course, right? So, at the end of the day, someone's going to come out of that group as a leading wide receiver, and he's the best candidate, okay? I mean, you got Paul Richardson there, and Doxson's always hurt, but Jamison Crowder, he's got the potential to be 1,000 yard wide receiver, and I'm not dropping him until I at least give him a couple more weeks. He's got the targets. Someone from that passing game is going to have to click, but low end flex at the best at this point.
Do you own many shares of Crowder, Boston?
I have, I believe, one that I know of. There's a chance I might have 2. I have not started him yet this season.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
Yeah. I don't know if that's an indictment of my roster depth or just how good my starters have been. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I'm not feeling great about him going forward. But I have not dropped him yet.
All right, there you go. So how are you looking right now, Josh, for your blind betting budgets? Do you have a lot of money left in the leagues where you're doing well, or are you getting, are you one of those people who's like got $55, $60 left out of 1,000? Which is, by the way, that's how I usually am about now.
Yeah, no. So as you said in the intro, I do have 2 main event teams, and in my co-owned team with my buddy Sean, something really interesting happened that we didn't expect, and Doug Baldwin was dropped Week 1 in that league. We have Russell Wilson as our quarterback. So as we know, they're typically, a beast at the end of the season, right? I mean, I think the last couple of years, Russell Wilson's been the leading point goer, the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I mean, come on, why do we play the FFPC, which again is my favorite league for a reason, right? So, we got to stack up weeks 14 through 16, and come on, man, the Seahawks are always crushing at the end of the year. So, Yeah, we basically blew our load, man, on that guy. I think we bid around $900 or so on him, and so yeah, we're about $20 or $30 give or take. Might be a little generous on that number, but again, it was one of those things I felt like we had to do. But generally speaking, I think it's smart to spend anywhere between 50 and 60% of your bankroll over the first 3 or 4 weeks. Sure, is there always someone that comes out of nowhere, and there's always injuries, and you're going to have a third-string running back that gets to bump up, and you're putting him in as a flex play due to volume? Absolutely, it's going to happen. But I'm saving my blind bid money, because I want to blow it the first couple of weeks on someone that I know is going to have a big impact. And I think, and it's always good because, as we know, there's 4 teams typically that you're, competing against for bidding in the playoffs, and then usually between 1 and 3 for, the last week before you go to week 14. So I think as long as you save about, $50 to $80 before that, you're okay.
So, this is a little informal survey. So you came out to Vegas. So do you gamble in a similar way? Do you manage your blind bidding? So you were there for, let's say, 3 or 4 days. Do you take $3-4 grand, and by Friday night you're you got $120 left out of your $4 grand? You're like, damn it! I blew it on the craps table. I played blackjack, and then I put $500 on 35, and I lost in roulette. Or are you more normal when it comes to actually gambling?
I don't know if I can answer that honestly, because I'm not sure if my wife's going to listen to this or not.
That's a good point. Yeah,
actually, I'm pretty reserved when it comes to gambling. I like to call myself a calculated gambler. I do like to play, stuff that I feel like I have a little bit of control on. I've done pretty well in poker in my life, but fantasy football is, certainly what I enjoy the most. And as we can say, calculated gambling, we all have full control of fantasy football, don't we, gentlemen?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's no luck at all in this.
Correct. Thank you.
Right,
get that
not at all.
For all the regulators and legislators that are listening, this is gospel right here. Take this to the proverbial bank. Josh, let's talk about Austin Hooper, the tight end for Atlanta, here for a second. I'm curious, is he about to have a big breakout right now, big breakout season, or is he still outside the top 10 tight ends for you? You had that big week last week. I'm curious, with Sanu and Ridley and Jones all ahead of him, and you would think in the pecking order in Atlanta, that goes into the answer to this question, I'm sure. But what also has to go into it is it's been a wasteland for tight ends again this year outside of the top 3. Where does Austin Hooper fall among the tight ends in that landscape?
Yeah, you said it, not me. What a garbage year for tight ends, huh? Holy moly. Yeah, so with that said, it's just like anyone for the tight end position with outside of those top 3. It's a crapshoot. Is Hooper going to get 7 targets and score a touchdown and 80 yards like he did a couple weeks ago, or I think last week he had a catch for 12 yards or something, So that's just what you're going to get with a lot of these tight ends right now. There's just not a lot of consistency. One of the guys that I had a lot of hope going into the year that's certainly taken Jetson Dean to the number 2 spot is Ebron. The guy's just making an impressive impact. 3 touchdowns, last couple games. He's got 5 on the season, leading all the tight ends. And but as far as Hooper goes, like you said, what is there? Ridley, Sanu, obviously Julio, and then you got a couple running backs he's fighting with targets. So am I starting with confidence? Not really, but I'm not really starting any tight ends with confidence this year,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, the thing is, I own Austin Hooper in a lot of leagues, and I always have. It seems
you always have been.
Yeah, I don't even like him all that much. But,
yeah, you've been the biggest Cooper owner I know.
But I feel like because of that, I'm always defending him irrationally. You know what I mean? I'm going to get my guys, and then I'm defending them. I feel like it's every time on this show, I'm the lawyer in court, and I have this long laundry list of underperforming fantasy players that I'm scheduled to represent in court that day, led by Corey Davis, Austin Hooper, Eddie Lacy is another big one. Yeah, for sure. Even now, Eddie Lacy, repeat offender.
You should sign him.
I'm constantly saying, look, yeah, exactly. Why is this guy on the waiver wire? You guys are trotting out players like Jamal Charles, the corpse of Jamal Charles signing with Jacksonville, and you can't find a spot for Eddie Lacy? Come on.
No kidding.
Anyway, Dave, speaking of corpses, let's talk about Cleveland here for a second.
Hey, they're a good damn team, Balky.
And they've been coming on. Same record as Green Bay. So I don't know if that's an indictment of Green Bay or if it's praise for Cleveland.
Too many ties. So their upcoming schedule, they're going to be playing at some questionable defenses. They've got the great young talent, Baker Mayfield. The Buccaneers, Steelers, Chiefs, Falcons. It's like all those totals, Falky, are going to be like in the 50s.
Astronomical.
Bunch of 50 versus. By the way, scoring, I was reading this Wall Street Journal article today, scoring is up like a few points this year. I mean, look, they talk about global warming, like that's a big thing. Scoring in the NFL is up way higher than global warming. Al Gore, sorry.
I can't remember if I brought this up on the show, but I think headed into week 4 of the season, the average quarterback rating in the NFL, the average, Dave, was 2 points higher than Aaron Rodgers' career quarterback rating.
Well, Rodgers, he's overrated.
I'm just saying.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm putting that out there that clearly, the quarterback plays up, which in turn makes the scoring go up.
All right, so actually the question is, I'm going to ask a twofold question, because they're wondering if Duke Johnson, meaning whoever wrote this stupid question, is Duke Johnson going to come alive now? But also, what do you think about Nick Chubb? Do you think, they talked about him getting more carries after he had that, 3 for 105 and 2 touchdowns game. What do you think, Chubb, Duke Johnson, or is it just going to be back to Carlos Hyde, who's actually been pretty productive?
So, yeah, we're talking about the Browns, right? Very unpredictable as far as what they're doing. Man, so Duke Johnson, the guy's a stud. Look what he can do with the ball in his hands, but they're just not giving him the touches this year. He's someone I'm really high on, and I'm also a big fan of the pass catching running backs. And, I mean, I think there's talk about putting him at wide receiver just because they're starved at that spot now, and now that they don't have Josh Gordon. They really just don't have a lot of playmakers, okay? So as far as Hyde goes, he's a plotter too, and then you got Chubb, and Chubb looks good on a few of these long runs. I actually am excited about what Chubb can do. He's someone I was targeting in a bunch of my leagues. I actually own him in none of my 9 FFPC leagues, but just because he was going way earlier than I was hoping I'd get him. And I think the owners that picked him up, he's going to be a surprise later in the year. But regardless, Duke Johnson is going to have a role. His role is just not going to go away because he's always going to be in on third downs, and they're a team that's most likely going to be trailing. I know they have a good schedule coming up. The next 4 games are pretty juicy. So you could see some Duke Johnson action. He was actually someone that I was targeting. So, back to the waivers thing, crazily, people were thinking, what kind of league am I in for a main event league? Because Duke Johnson and Ronald Jones were both actually dropped just last week in that league. And I put bids on both of them. They went for more than what I put out there. But, they're both guys I could see as certainly still being a flex play this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think Duke Johnson, he didn't come out. What he did is he came out and made a point of saying, I'm not going to go complain to the coaching staff about not getting the ball, which to me was like he's complaining about not getting the ball.
Which is actually kind of cool of him going away because he got that contract last year, so he's like, yeah, hell, man, I'm getting paid.
It's like, listen, if you guys don't use me,
exactly.
it's just going to extend my career, and I'm going to get another deal from somebody who wants to use me, and I don't have a lot of tread on my tires. I'm totally fine with that. That's like the Le'Veon Bell strategy right now. It's like I want to come back and I'll play so I can get paid. Just don't use me a ton. Just get James Conner out there and use him more. That's the LB strategy. Let's get to a few emails for you tonight, Josh, that came in this week. Charlie in Southfield, Michigan wants to know, how do you handle the Broncos wide receivers going forward? Start Thomas and Sanders because Denver is always coming from behind, or bench them because the quarterback play continues to be bad again? Good luck in the main event. Thank you for the email, Charlie in Southfield, Michigan. Well, you should have some expertise in this, Josh, as far as Sanders and Thomas, and you want to throw Sutton in there as well. But what are you doing with these Denver receivers going forward if you own them anywhere?
Yeah, Charlie, thanks for the question. So, yeah, you're definitely talking to a diehard Broncos fan. Gave up my season tickets to move to Texas. That's another story, right? But anyways, gosh, man, what to do with these Broncos wide receivers? So don't play them this week. I mean, not with confidence. It's going to snow in Denver. I expect that offense to be lethargic as they have in the last few weeks. So probably not as bad as their defense, giving up 300 yards rushing, which is just a poor effort, pretty much. But I still see Sanders leading the way. I actually drafted Sanders about 5 spots before DT went in our startup or in our main event league for Jets and Dean there. So I thought Sanders was going to be the leading receiver. He's proven me right. But, DT until this last week hasn't done anything. I think he finally had his first 20-point game of the season, may have even been his first touchdown. He just doesn't pass the eye test for me as much anymore. I would say Des Bryant and DT are on a similar path. Wouldn't be surprised if DT's not in the Broncos next year. So I know it's a little brutal to say, but Sutton's looked great in short action. I've already seen him have 2 touchdowns called back and then 1 touchdown I think that was missed. They gave him like a PI on or something whack. But he's a guy that I actually own on both of my main event teams, Sutton. So I'm holding on to him. I think either DT falls off the radar or there could be another injury. I think Sutton's the dark horse to really be someone you can put in your lineup, just like a Galladay this year, with confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you on Sutton. I own him in 2 or 3 dynasty leagues right now, and then I'm looking forward, not necessarily for this year, but I think 2019, he's the type of guy that could threaten to be a top 25 receiver next year, even in his second year in the league, and we're not really sure what the quarterback situation is going to look like in Denver, Dave.
Well, if we get a little bit, if there is some injury of some sort in Denver, you could have a Juju Smith-Schuster type.
That is entirely possible.
Part of the season with Sutton.
I don't think he has the playmaking, pun intended, juju that Smith-Schuster has, but I think that there is a lot of volume in what Sutton could have in Denver if he takes over as being a complementary receiver to Emmanuel Sanders, or Dave, if he becomes the man there over Sutton, over Sanders, which I think is the Denver plan there long term.
I agree, actually. And by the way, I think Juju is like a really special player. Playmaker. I think he's just a really fantastic, awesome football player. Good person. He's great on Twitter. I think once Antonio Brown moves on, which may not be that long, Juju's going to be like a long-time WR1 at Pittsburgh.
They got to figure out the quarterback situation.
They'll figure that out.
So, but yeah, you're right. As long as it's adequate there, he should be very, very good.
I don't know. I can't say who I put him on par with, I guess. I feel like he's a high-character person as well, kind of like Fitz in that regard. I'm not putting him on par with Fitz, but I think Juju's just so special. So I don't want to get him up. I don't want to get something up there with Fitz.
No, that's fine.
With Fitz or Juju, that's way too high.
Right. No, I get it. He's got a ways to go before he gets there. Maybe he gets there at some point, but he's got some work to do before we get there. Hey, let's keep talking about the receivers. Jack in Oklahoma City. Been going back and forth on this all week. Will Fuller at home against the Bills or Tyler Lockett at the Raiders? Who do I start as my second flex? Thank you for the email, Jack in Oklahoma City. Josh, your thoughts on this? Would you be going with Fuller hosting the Bills, or is Tyler Lockett the play at Oakland?
Well, until I see Fuller healthy for a full game, I don't know if I can put him out there. That's you got to realize Coutee just passed him on the depth chart, in my opinion. Obviously in targets and as far as potential. Now Fuller's got that long touchdown potential, as we all know. Could he get a long touchdown or two? Absolutely. But I guess Lockett's kind of the same way. The thing is with Lockett, I feel pretty confident in what he can do against the Raiders. And sure, it is the Buffalo Bills, but for me, it's the health that makes me feel a lot more confident putting in, someone that's going to get between 7 and 9 targets in Lockett in the game.
It's entirely possible that game too, and I don't want to be presumptuous here, but if Houston is able to get out to a lead, who knows? Maybe it's the Alfred Blue show, and he ends up, being the Houston guy you want to play behind DeAndre Hopkins. So, who's a little bit banged up himself. Honestly, every piece of that Houston passing game right now is dinged up. You have Deshaun Watson with the chest. Hopkins has been nursing ankle and foot and leg injuries pretty much all season. Fuller and QT have the hamstring issue.
What the hell is everybody's problem?
I don't know. It's one of those things. Too much.
Why don't they have some of that barbecue? Get some protein.
Maybe it's too much barbecue and it's slowing them down and they're not stretching out. I have no idea. Our resident Texas barbecue. Our resident.
You feel good, Josh?
Exactly, Josh.
Josh is healthy, right?
Give us the skinny on the Texas barbecue. Is that what's slowing down the Texans? I know you're a Dallas guy, but still.
Well, the 40 LBs I put on since I've moved here in the last 4 years, maybe not 40, but pretty close. Are you kidding me? The food is amazing here. Yeah, no, that's certainly the best part is the food. Yeah, well, I do miss 4 seasons, but I'll take the food. I'll take the food and the family. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. You've been very gracious with your time, Josh. Before we let you go, Dave has one final question for you.
Yes, this is the question we always pretend that our listeners pay attention to, but I'm not sure that they do. So give us an early round sub, but about Balky and I actually pay attention. Give us an early round sub that you think you want to think twice about starting this weekend, as well as a late round sleeper that deserves to be in lineups this week.
Well, all right. So I would say, and I think a few people are still a little hesitant on Devontae Freeman. Sure, he's getting some press. He's coming back. But if you look at what he's done the last 6 games, it just hasn't been enough for me to feel confident putting him back in my lineup and thinking that he's the healthy, Devontae Freeman of past. So he's someone I'm going to definitely second guess putting in my lineup. Also, there's 3 guys there now that are running the ball with, Ito Smith joining the mix. So I'm going to be hesitant putting him in my lineup. Now, as far as someone I'm going to be more confident in, someone we just talked about recently is Tyler Lockett. And we talked about how much I bid on Baldwin, and that's to be determined. But Lockett has been incredibly consistent. I think he's one of the top 5 receivers in the league in touchdowns this year. So the downfall, and we haven't really got to it too much, is just the Seattle passing game. I don't know what they're doing, but Russell Wilson has less than 50 rushing yards on the year, and I saw they had the least amount of pass attempts ever in the last several years.
Right? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so that's the only thing.
They always have the lack of volume. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, that's the exact thing that bothers me right now is that volume thing, because that's what always made the Seattle passing game successful. Is they were passing the ball 70% of the time, and I think I just read they had the lowest passing percentage in the entire league. It was like 48% or something like that. So I'd still feel pretty confident putting Lockett in my lineup, especially this week against the Raiders.
Here's just a stupid side story, Balky, but did you hear the story about Doug Baldwin was talking about? He was talking about how Marshawn Lynch is this great character player, how he was loved in the locker room in Seattle, and he said this young wide receiver kind of complimented Lynch on his backpack. He's like, "Oh, that's really cool, man." And Lynch took all of this crap out of his backpack and handed it to that young receiver, and that was Doug Baldwin.
Oh, nice.
So that's just really pretty cool.
Oh,
man. Cool, man. Just take it.
I did not
cool?
know that.
Yeah, so
cool.
awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch, he gets a bad rap. My co-host on the show with Leo and Balky, Leo was actually ripping on Marshawn Lynch, and I'm like, dude, as a person, I think he's a pretty cool person.
I heard he's like super, cool.
Offering financial advice to anybody in the locker room. I'm not making up.
He's probably loaded. He's probably got. I hope he has a ton of money.
I'm sure. I have no doubt he has a ton.
Yeah, that guy's
well,
sick.
Josh. Listen, Josh, hopefully you will have a ton of money at the end of the season as you are pressing forward, trying to win the FFPC main event, sitting in second place overall right now. Congratulations on all your success, not only this year, but everything you've overcome over the past few years. We wish nothing but the best for you there as well. Best of luck to you in all your leagues, my friend. Thank you for joining the show this week, and we will talk to you again real soon.
All right, gentlemen. Thanks for your time as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Josh Siegel, ladies and gentlemen. Jets and Dean, second place team in the FFPC main event as we head forward into week 6 with one game behind us. Dave, I'm going to let the listeners behind the curtain here for a little bit. I had a soda sitting right out here. Did you happen to drink that soda?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
fine.
No, don't grab me another one.
You just talk. I'll take care of it.
I don't want another one. Don't get me another soda. I am good. I just want to make sure I didn't leave it somewhere. So.
I think I missed it.
Great. That's fine.
Do you want a glass of wine?
No, I'm good. I'm totally good. Let's just get into Fantasy Flash. Thanks to Football Guys, Roto World, Roto Pass.
Some Bailey's over here. Bailey's?
Dave, literally, I'm going to kill you if you ask me if I want something to drink again. Mike McCarthy said Geronimo Allison and Randall Cobb will again be working off to the side in practice today with the rehab group. This according to Rob Domofsky, the ESPN Packers reporter on Twitter. So Roto World actually suggests that they're going to be limited at best for practice today. It's obviously good that they're back on the field, especially with Allison being out of the concussion protocol at all. But this is a Monday night game, Dave. They had good news and bad news. They have the extra day to practice.
Who is this?
Allison and Cobb.
I'm going to this game, by the way.
Yes.
I'm very excited.
Yes, I will be there with you.
With Drew Maselli.
Yep, Drew Maselli, Rick Jam, Ricky Vaughn.
And you're coming?
Yep.
For sure?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be checking the Brewers score live at Lambeau Field.
You don't have internet that doesn't work.
Nah. You know what's funny is I brought this up on the show with Leo and Balky, which you listen to on 95.3 and 99.1 FM on 2 to 3 weekdays, Monday through Friday, and AM 1570 The Score. I brought this up. I said I needed one of those portable chargers for my phone to make sure that my phone doesn't go dead, and I could keep tabs on what the Brewers are doing Monday night. And I actually found somebody who they were listening. They're like, "Oh, I'll give Balky a charger for that, so you can have that at the game." It's one of the great things about being on local radio is you always have somebody who thinks you're the cat's pajamas and give you a phone charger, which is fantastic. Anyway, the point I was bringing up with this, they get the extra day to try to get ready, Dave, but it's a Monday night game, so you may not have that luxury. It's going to be tough to find replacements in that game unless you have, Marquez Valdez-Scantling or, even Equiminius St. Brown, which I wouldn't recommend. And there's certainly, San Francisco is not the pinnacle of health. I know Marquise Goodwin returned to a full practice today and yesterday, but it sounds like Pierre Garçon is going to miss. You kind of got to avoid this situation, in my opinion, if you're looking to start a Packers receiver not named Devontae Adams this week.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
And yeah, I know you don't like Randall Cobb at all, but I would have loved to trot out Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but the thing that throws the monkey wrench into it. Yes, if Valdez-Scantling, or excuse me, if Allison's active, that kind of destroys MVS's value.
Nah, totally.
Totally enough for me to start him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but I'm just saying you still got some. I still think you might be all right.
I am still.
What about Jimmy Graham? You think he's?
Yeah, he's in for a Boffo week. Totally.
Because again, tight ends are so bad, he still doesn't look all that good.
He doesn't look great, but San Francisco has given up a touchdown to every tight end they have faced so far this season, except for last week when they faced Arizona and Ricky Seals-Jones. So I do believe Jimmy Graham gets into the end zone this week, and especially if Cobb and Allison aren't out there, he and Adams are going to be counted on heavily in that passing game.
How about you $5 that he doesn't
score a touchdown?
Yeah. At the game. No, I got 5 on. Yeah.
What do you mean at the game?
No, we'll be at the game so we can talk crap about it.
Okay, I got 5 on Jimmy Graham scoring at least one touchdown this week against the Niners.
I got a 5 that he does not score one touchdown this week against the Niners in the football game in which Wentz they're playing on Monday night.
I don't think we need to qualify it that much.
I'm going to overqualify from now on these bets.
All right, this is going to be great. I can't wait till he scores his first touchdown.
He probably will. Actually, I hope he does. It'll be a fun bet.
Yeah, it will be a fun bet. All right, moving on in Fantasy Flash, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Ebron, who is missed practice Wednesday, Dave. I'm not making this up.
And Thursday.
And Thursday. He returned to a full practice today.
Yep.
He had a shin, quad, ankle, and knee issue. That is shin, quad, ankle, knee. All issues there. He returned to a full practice.
What's that thing with the head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
Knees and toes.
What is that? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Head and shoulders, knees, and toes. Shin, quad, ankle, knee. Eric Ebron.
That's pretty good.
On the Football Guys Audible Thursday night, Gene Bramall, who's the excellent injury analyst they have over there.
The doctor? Is he a doctor?
Yeah, he's a doctor. And he actually said, now he is a pediatrician, but he said in his experience that when somebody...
That's a foot doctor.
When they...
that's
a podiatrist.
Oh, yeah. So he's a kid doctor.
Yes. In his experience, when people come in and complain about multiple things, like, oh, I got a thing with my eyelid, I got a thing with my finger, my elbow,
Can I guess?
My hip. Go ahead.
Dramatic depressive?
That they're actually...
Kanye West?
No. Don't, come on. That there actually is nothing wrong with them.
That's
funny.
Yeah.
And so I don't
They're
know
hypochondriac.
if this is one of those things where Ebron was like, I'm aching all over, everything hurts, and really it was just general soreness. I'm not sure. But he did return to a full practice day, listed as questionable. I know Aunt Jemima was talking in the chat room earlier that he may miss this week, but I actually feel pretty good about him playing, and I feel pretty good about starting him this week as well.
The one thing that's scary that I read on Roto Blurb or whatever it was is that they did activate some practice squad tight end. But the fact that he practiced today is always a good sign.
Full practice today.
Full practice.
Jack Doyle already out.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about and really don't have many more options.
Yeah.
The only, like in some of the Kentucky leagues, I have Gronk and Ebron, like at least one league where I'm just like, oh, I have Tyler Boyd or Ebron. And then I'm like mad because I benched him in one league last week when he scored 30 points. So now you're like trying to do the rebound.
Chasing points.
Yeah, and then you're going to get a 0.
I own him in 2 leagues. In 1 league, my other tight end is Evan Engram, so I'm clearly playing Ebron there. And then in the other league, here are my other choices. If I'm not the only serious choices, would you rather start Eric Ebron or Jimmy Graham?
So that's fairly close, to be honest with you. I would start Graham, I guess.
Okay, I would too. Would you rather start Eric Ebron
because Graham's healthy and
right? Would you rather start Eric Ebron or Tevin Coleman?
Coleman, for sure. I don't
think Freeman's out.
He's out. Yeah.
He's already out. Yeah. So I don't have a way to get Ebron in my lineup.
Yeah, you're good.
So I mean, I have a way to get him in at 1. He's already in there. So I'm kind of
You have some good teams this year, Bob.
I made my bet. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's still early on, but there's a few of them have fighting chances, which is all you can ask. Okay, perfect segue. Devontae Freeman ruled out this week. He did not practice today, according to Bob McClure on Twitter. Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith, how do you envision this backfield split going? And more importantly, can you start Ito Smith as a flex this week in the FFPC?
To be honest with you, I think you actually can. Ito Smith has been pretty productive, but if you have better options, if you have a wide receiver in the 30s, I think I'd go that direction. I would start Bill Powell over him, but I would not start Crowell over him. So I don't know if that makes a difference.
Well, Crowell may not play.
Yeah, he may not. But I mean, even if he does play, I think I might actually. Well, it gets a little closer because Crowell had such a fantastic game.
Right. 70-30 split sound about right to you in Atlanta?
Sure. Yeah, about right.
Okay. I would, for what it's worth, in FFPC it gets a little bit dicey. I would definitely play Powell over Ito Smith. Crowell over Ito Smith. That's a question. I think I would rather, if Crowell's active, I'm probably playing him over Ito Smith. But I think, honestly, you're looking at the teams on bye this week, Dave. You don't have Kamara. You don't have Mark Ingram. You don't have Kerryon Johnson. There's a ton of receivers that you're missing. Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, Michael Thomas, Tre'Quan Smith, Cameron Meredith, all those guys you're missing. I mean, maybe you are in a pinch and you need to, figure out that second flex, and you could do worse than Ito Smith for what it's worth for anybody who is making that decision this week. Another segue. You were crushing the segues tonight, my friend. Isaiah Crowell listed as questionable for Week 6 against Indianapolis. Thank you to Rich Cimini on Twitter with this. He is expected to be a true game time decision. They do kick off at 1 o'clock on Sunday, so you'll definitely know by 11:30 whether Crowell is in or whether he's out. And honestly, if you own Bilal Powell, you're kind of rooting for Crowell to be listed as out so you can get Powell getting all those touches.
Right.
If he is active, I think you can plan on probably 15 to 20 touches for him in that Indianapolis game. Maybe 20 is a little bit aggressive, but 15 probably.
Right.
And by and large, you're probably playing him at that spot if he is getting 15 touches.
It's a little tough to sit him. If you have a good receiver that you think is going to get 7 to 10 targets.
Well, and he's coming off that 200-yard game.
I know. He's a very talented back.
I don't know about very talented.
Well,
but he's been chewing up yardage.
There's some really great people like Matt Waldman who love Crowell coming out in the 7th round that year. He was probably the number 2 running back. He might have had me over Barkley this year for crying out loud.
I don't know about that, but
he did have Chubb over Barkley.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. Just to be clear.
The Browns may have to.
Hey, the jury's out. Look 5 years from now, who knows?
Yeah. Well,
Barkley's got a substantial lead.
Can we just talk about Saquon Barkley for a little? Did you watch that game on Thursday?
Yeah. Well, I was switching between that and terrible news channels.
I watched that. I was working at home that night, and I couldn't it was. I don't like to use hyperbole on this show unless I'm obviously kidding. But there was a couple of moments in that game where I was watching Barkley play where my jaw was literally, my mouth was
like Tecmo Bowl.
My mouth was agape.
It was like Bo Jackson Tecmo Bowl.
I mean, the 50-yard pass he had, or I can't remember if it was a pass or a run early. I'm just like, how is he getting out of this? And knowing that defense knew that Eli Manning could not pump the ball downfield to Odell Beckham or anybody where you could totally key in on the run. You knew if you could stop Barkley, you would shut down that Giants offense. And Barkley still had over 200 yards. People want to say, especially after last night's game, as the Giants fall to 1-5.
Twitter is great about this. Go ahead.
They should have taken a quarterback, and it's so obvious. I mean, the offense is being held hostage by Eli Manning at quarterback,
which is true.
And it was a terrible selection by Barkley. Well, I'll tell you what. There is nothing terrible about Saquon Barkley as an NFL player. He may have been the wrong choice, for the Giants there, but my gosh, is he so much fun to watch, and he is going to pay dividends for fantasy owners pending health for years to come in this league.
I totally agree with you, and it's funny because Barkley is a fantastic player. He could be a Hall of Fame running back, and at the same time, he may have still been, again, he still may have been the wrong choice for the Giants at that spot. I mean, he really, truthfully, he could be a Hall of Famer, but because they passed on
Darnold,
Rosen,
yep.
Who else? I mean,
Lamar Jackson.
There was somebody. Who else did they? The Jets. Oh, that was
Darnold. Yeah.
Is there anyone I'm missing?
There is somebody we're missing.
Mayfield went one.
Yeah. Mayfield, Darnold, Rosen, Jackson. Maybe that was it.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah.
Josh Allen. I mean, I crapped all over Josh Allen, but he's actually not been god awful.
Right. Which is saying something for that Buffalo team.
He might still be god awful, but I don't know.
If you were Dave Gettleman and you had that number 2 overall pick, tell me at the time what you would have done with it if you were the GM of the Giants. Would you have taken Barkley or would you have gone Darnold?
I would not have taken Barkley. I would have gone either Darnold.
Assuming you couldn't trade down.
I probably would have taken Josh Allen, actually. That's the player at that time.
Over Darnold.
Yeah, I did not have Darnold as high as I had Josh Allen.
And knowing what we know now, what would you have done? Is it still Josh Allen for you? I mean, Darnold looks really good.
Yeah, Darnold does look good. You know what? I would probably, because I have not watched a lot of the Cardinals games, I probably would go with Darnold actually at this point. He looks super comfortable. He looks really good. He looks strong.
When I forgot to tell you this, I was going to work out.
And he's a very young very young, so I like that.
Yeah, he is. I was going to work out Sunday morning when the Bills were in town to face the Packers, and
Josh Allen was there?
No. I was driving downtown to the gym, and I see all these red and blues in front of me. I'm like, what is going on? Sunday morning.
The popo.
Yeah, that there's this many police out, and it was the police motorcade. Police escort. Yeah, the Bills bus passed me on the way out.
So just so everyone knows, Green Bay has such crappy hotels that they go to the crappy Appleton Hotel.
Which is where Dave and I live.
Which is where we live, which is about 25, 30 minutes away. That's where that visiting players always stay.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, seriously though, the best hotel here is like a 3-star out of 5, not even a 4. It's out of 5. It's pretty awful. The gift shop is god awful. I don't know how
the gift shop's really bad.
That's the Radisson in Appleton.
I believe it is called the Paper Lion now.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, they changed the name on it.
Dumb.
Have you seen the hotel that's being built down by the river on the east side of town? It's like kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
No.
It looks very, very nice.
Well, I hope that is. I mean, I hope those players get somewhere to stay. Yeah. Regardless, though, I mean, so then they have to drive 30 minutes north, and see all the crappy billboards and Highway 40.
For what it's worth, and I'll say this too. I don't know if you could take this for what it's worth, Dave, but the Bills were in town on Oktoberfest weekend. And they stayed downtown that night when all of the Fox Valley was downtown.
Everyone is drunk on
looting and pillaging, throwing beer and stuff around, and they got shut out the next day.
That's pretty funny.
I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. It's entirely possible. Let's get the fantasy feedback here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't play it, Rob, as we are running low on time again. Hey, let's lead off with a message from audio engineer Bryce.
Oh, boy.
He is faced with a deal in his league. Now, Dave, I'm going to pitch this deal to you. I'm not going to tell you his current situation. You tell me what he should do. This is
redraft.
This is redraft.
Yep.
So this probably isn't helping out a whole lot of people, but it'll give everybody, all the listeners, a gauge on what we feel like for these players going forward. If you were Bryce, would you trade James Conner for Doug Baldwin?
I would not.
You would not. Here's his current situation. At running back, he has James Conner, Alvin Kamara, David Johnson, James White, Matt Breida, Kerryon Johnson. This is a PPR league. Okay? His receivers are Larry Fitzgerald, Mike Williams, Marquise Goodwin, Ted Ginn, Robbie Anderson, and Taylor Gabriel. Would you still keep James Conner and not trade him for Doug Baldwin in that scenario?
Yeah, because, I mean, he has so many good running backs. His receivers are god-awful. His running backs are amazing. He should be firing out, multiple offers, I don't know, like Annie West and the old Wild West, just firing off trade offers like crazy with his awesome running backs for good receivers. I mean, seriously. So that's not a good enough deal.
So go Ixnay on Conner.
Trade Kamara for 3 awesome receivers. I mean, you get 2 or 3 good receivers for him.
That's not. I mean, yes, you might be able to, but it's difficult to do. He said he was striking out trying. And honestly, if you're in redraft right now, wouldn't you be trying to trade James Conner? Wouldn't that be the guy?
Everyone knows that. I mean, it's not like this is some.
Well, secret. I mean, this guy who's willing to part with Doug Baldwin for James Conner.
Baldwin's been crappy this year. I mean, get a guy who's producing. I mean, for God's sake, you could get Cooper Kupp for David Johnson. I mean, David Johnson is still worth more than Cooper Kupp. But Cooper Kupp, by the way, if he's playing this weekend, he's on pace for like 330 fantasy points, for the love of God. Yeah. That would be the number one wide receiver not only last year, but the year before. Pick him up. Get Cooks. It's the same team. These guys are killing it.
True or false, Doug Baldwin finishes as a top 30 receiver this year? True or false, Doug Baldwin finishes as a top 40 receiver this year?
False.
Top 45.
Sure. Yeah, true.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, I mean, he's kind of like a low-end wide receiver 4 for you the rest of the way. You don't envision him turning things around.
Not really. Right now, he's still got these problems. I mean, just like Fitz right now, it's like Fitz is getting 3 or 4 targets a week, and he's not doing anything. He's got a hamstring. It's like it doesn't look good for those guys.
All right, let's go.
Let's go with what's working.
Yeah. Let's go to Cliff in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He writes, "Hey, fellas, what's up?" This is actually funny. I don't think I ever told you this, but the local radio show I do in the afternoon is it leads into the Mike Heller radio show, which is syndicated across the state of Wisconsin. And his quote-unquote co-host, John Audius, is on this show, and every time he introduces John onto the show, John always says, "Hey, fellas, what's up?" when it's just him and the co-host, So it's very cheeky. It's very funny. Clearly, Cliff is listening on the, whatever it is, the big ticket down in Milwaukee. He writes, "Hey, fellas, what's up? I got burned by starting Dalvin Cook against the Rams when he didn't play in the second half. Would you trust him and his quote-unquote bulky hamstring this week against the Cardinals? Other options I could play instead of him are Alex Collins, Alfred Morris, Robbie Anderson, and Larry Fitzgerald. Go Brewers." That is Cliff in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Go Brewers, indeed.
All right, so Morris, Anderson, Fitz.
Let's take the first part of this question first. Are you trusting Dalvin Cook in your lineups this week?
Not really.
So you're very lukewarm on that. Now right. Here's the other options you have. We'll play a mini Would You Rather here with Dalvin Cook. Would you rather play Dalvin Cook, who is at home against the Cardinals, very good matchup, or would you rather play Alex Collins, who's on the road at Tennessee?
So this is assuming Cook is like looking good and warm up.
Assuming he's active.
Yeah, then I would start Cook over Collins.
Okay.
Collins I wouldn't start. I think I'd start Javorius Allen against better judgment of some people. The Fantasy Pros rankings have Alex Collins over Allen. I mean, I'll take the guy who's catching passes and get the goal line back, actually. I mean, Collins is nothing all that.
Yeah, what's the attraction with Alex Collins? He's not getting goal line, he's not catching passes.
13 for 40 and 1 catch for 4. I mean, what good is that?
Yeah. Would you, I guess maybe you're going to say Cook to all these now. Add Dalvin Cook or Alfred Morris on Monday night in front of us at Lambeau Field?
I would consider Morris because he's going to get the start and probably the lion's share of the carries. I don't know what the line is. I'm guessing it's like maybe they're 7-point dollars.
9.5.
9.5. Okay, so 9.5. So that's not a good. I mean, it's not probably a good situation. A road team that's a big dog. I mean, Morris can catch some passes.
He has been catching passes. So, Matt Breida probably not going to be playing in that game.
Yeah. Man, I guess I'd still start Cook though. It's close.
I would too, as long as he's active. Dalvin Cook or Robbie Anderson. I guess this is a coach question. Robbie Anderson at home against that Colts secondary.
Yeah, I don't trust Robbie Anderson at all.
And then Dalvin Cook or another guy who's been battling hamstring issues, Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, fair enough. Moving on to Paul in Griffin, Georgia. He writes, "Dear Irving and Randy, I am missing Michael Thomas, Cam Meredith, Kenny Golladay, and Golden Tate this week, and am desperate for a wideout. Would you guys cut Chris Hogan, or do I need to keep him around a little bit longer? This is a 12-team, 20-man roster league." That is Paul in Griffin, Georgia. Thank you for the email. Dave, I noticed your head nod in the intro when I read this. You think it's time to cut bait on Chris Hogan?
I was, yes. I didn't draft Hogan in any leagues. I didn't advise anyone to draft Hogan in any leagues. And if you draft Hogan in leagues, I think, maybe you move on and try and get somebody else. Hopefully you picked up a Kuti-type player.
Yeah.
And you can just kind of, move on. It's like, sometimes you make mistakes. Okay.
Who would you rather have the rest of the way, Chris Hogan or Tre'Quan Smith?
I don't know. I mean,
Factors to consider: Rob Gronkowski, Josh Gordon, Sony Michel, James White.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd rather have Smith. But I mean, Traquan Smith, I mean, he might be a little bit of fool's gold. He had, 3 targets, and he had, a big game. Ted Ginn, when he comes back, who even knows if Traquan Smith is getting targets?
That's entirely possible as well. Another factor to consider.
No, neither, whatever.
Neither, neither, either. Let's call the whole thing off. All right, final email tonight. Dave, we're going to get this done pretty close to an hour.
By the way, if you're interested in making a lot of money, go to ChrisHogan360.com.
What's that?
It'll turn you into an everyday millionaire. And by the way, this Chris Hogan is a big black guy.
Oh, okay.
But I just Googled Chris Hogan, and that's what came up with.
Got it.
You can build a lot of extraordinary wealth.
Can you play a Would You Rather with Kiki QT versus Buffalo this week? I have a plethora of options I'm considering via my bench and trades. I've listed said options below so Balky won't have to work very hard. Not that he does anyway. Have a great weekend. That is John in Millbank, South Dakota. So Would You Rather with Kiki QT. Dave, I'm going to go through this with you. These are all options that he can either, deploy in his lineup, or he can make deals for these guys. Would you rather play Kiki QT or Tariq Cohen at the Dolphins?
QT.
I agree. Kiki QT or D.D. Westbrook at Dallas?
QT.
I agree. Kiki QT or Kenny Stills against the Bears?
I'll take QT still.
I agree. Kiki QT or Jordy Nelson against the Seahawks?
Getting a little bit tougher. I'll take Jordy, actually.
I will, too, and the reason for that is because Jesus Aguilar just hit a home run. All right, 6-1. Woohoo, pouring it on.
Well, no one cares about your stupid baseball.
There's probably some people that care about it.
6-1.
Look at that Wasp guy just trying to put in the chat. Milwaukee 6, LA 1, and bottom of 7.
Balky, by the way, is wearing a bunch of Brewers crap. What are you wearing? Arcia?
Yeah, I'm wearing an Orlando Arcia jersey and my fitted Milwaukee Brewers hat. BLA, BLA, BLA.
It's a fitted hat. You have celebrities, your stupid hat is fitted.
Otherwise, they think I'm a poser.
You are a poser.
I am not a poser.
I haven't seen you wear any Brewer stuff all year long.
Well, yeah, because I care about the playoffs more. I got to save up my energy for it.
I actually think you are an actual Brewers fan.
I do follow them.
I'm actually from Milwaukee, though, so I grew up in the hood. Well, actually, it was Greendale.
Yeah, come on.
It was like all white people.
Let's be honest with the listeners here, Clarence. You don't need to be lying.
We got like 27th and North Avenue.
Yeah, exactly.
People had pit bulls.
You know what's funny is my mom and me actually went to the game a couple Sundays ago, the quote unquote final regular season game, when they really had another regular season game the next day.
Right, yeah.
But we were talking, we were all excited, this big winning streak they were on, and we parked in a part of the parking lot I don't normally park at, and I got turned around coming out of there. And I'm like, hey, Mom, I'm screwed up. She's like, oh, punch it up in my GPS. Well, I already had it up in my GPS, and then they differed,
Yeah.
So I wanted to be nice to my mom, so I'm like, okay, we'll go with yours. Well, it led us into I don't know where.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I just hope we don't go past North Avenue. All of a sudden, I see North Avenue coming up, but it wasn't the really bad part of North Avenue.
Right, yeah.
So
50th,
and obviously I survived, so it's all good. Okay.
Milwaukee can get dicier than a crap game that gets Balky.
Yeah, parts of it can, as much as we joke around. Kiki QT or Jordy Nelson, we both said QT. I believe we did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Kiki QT or Buck Allen at Tennessee.
I'll take Javaris Allen.
I would too. Kiki QT or Lamar Miller against Buffalo.
You know what's funny? I'm going to take QT. Screw Lamar Miller.
I would too.
This guy can't score a touchdown to save his life.
Kiki QT or Jamison Crowder at home against the Panthers.
QT.
I agree. And last one, Kiki QT or Monte Doncrief at Dallas.
Moncrief sucks. I'll take QT.
I agree. I think we agreed on all of them. That's pretty
weird.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show once again this week. I want to thank, of course, Josh Siegel, a fantastic guest tonight. Second place in the FFPC main event. Will be following his squad as we move forward deeper into the season. I want to thank Dave Gerzak, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and, of course, each and every one of you for putting up with my god-awful voice tonight.
It wasn't that bad.
We'll be back live next week. tell you who it is.
I don't know, Kanye?
It's not Kanye West.
Drake?
It is Drake.
Oh,
second guess.
That's good because I don't think I only know two of them.
Hold on. If I would have said Drake is incorrect, who would your third guess be?
I don't even know.
Your third guess would have been
like the white Jewish rapper. Who is it?
Macklemore?
No, the one that Aaron likes.
Well, Prof?
No, the Jewish white.
Oh, Lil Dicky.
Yeah, Lil Dicky.
Yeah, Lil Dicky. Yeah.
Like Lil Dicky.
I
really know.
And then like guess 4 would have been Eric B. I'd have been like no, and then guess 5 Rakim. Incorrect as well.
Ice Cube.
Yeah, and then I just been like, you know what, Dave, you're right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Enjoy week 6.